Glass Menagerie is Laura Doom by Adriana Reyes. Laura. The character Laura is described as a doomed, fragile character by her brother Tom. I truly do believe she is secretly strong because of the way she handled things by the end of the story. If you notice, Laura had the fewest lines in the story, which I found very interesting because she is the reason when the plot turns, and has the most important symbols all representing her. I will show you from the beginning of the story how Laura transformed into a strong woman. All about Laura. Laura is Amanda's daughter. Like her mother, Laura also has trouble living in reality. Laura is very fragile, insecure, and shy character who is described as crippled. A childhood illness has left her crippled, one leg being shorter than the other one, and also held in a brace. Laura spends most of her time with her glass menageries, not facing the real world. Her childhood illness is what people use to judge her and think less of her as a woman. To me, an illness is not what represents us. People with illnesses are just as beautiful and interesting as others. Beginning. In the beginning of the story, Tom describes Laura as Laura's separation increases till she is like a piece of her own glass collection, too exquisitely fragile to move from the shelf. Tom views Laura as fragile because of her illness, and also by comparing Laura to her glass collection. Glass is fragile, so if you drop it, it will break, which I think Tom is trying to say that she will eventually break down. Everybody saw her as fragile because of her disability. Laura was also very shy, doesn't have any friends or boyfriend. By that time, girls her age would be dating or married with a family of her own. Now I will show you how everybody views Laura. Tom. Tom compares Laura with blue roses and a unicorn because she is as rare. Glass Menagerie because she is as delicate. A good quote about him representing Laura as glass is when she's getting ready for a gem. A fragile, unearthly prettiness has come out of Laura. She is like a piece of translucent glass touched by light, giving a momentary radiance, not actual, not lasting. What Tom means in this quote is that Laura will never have that shine forever. She will always be fragile. More about Tom. Tom sees Laura as an exotic creature, completely and rather quaintly foreign to the rest of the world. Tom only talks less of Laura throughout the whole story, not seeing her true potential to the world. Tom clearly cared for Laura, but sometimes he came across as cruel. Not once during the story was Tom loving or kind towards Laura. By the end of the story, you can clearly see his true feelings towards Laura, again showing that he does not believe in Laura. Amanda. Amanda felt threatened by Laura because she is young and beautiful. Amanda always talked about stories when she was young and how she had 17 gentlemen callers. Amanda always felt the need to show off to her children and tell them how wonderful her life was when she was young, showing that she dislikes her life at that time. Amanda does love and care for her children, but she lives in the past and what her children need is a future. Which everybody being stuck in the past is the reason why Laura is scared to deal with real life, and Tom leaving them wanting to escape from the past. Amanda treated Laura like a child. She never saw or appreciated Laura for who she truly was. I also believe that Amanda had good intentions towards her children, but she expected way too much from them, which made her look so bad towards how she acted to Tom and Laura. Jim. Jim was a guy Laura has had a crush on ever since high school. He was considered her dream man. In the beginning of the story, Jim wasn't judging her by the way she looked or acted. He actually flirted with her, showing some interest. He even kissed her, which he immediately regretted. Afterwards, he stood up Laura by telling her that he was engaged. He only did it just to build up his self-esteem, again showing that he only viewed Laura as some girl. Ellen Domina also agrees with me by saying Jim claims that being in love has made a new man of me, but he provides no evidence for this outside of rhetoric. By that quote is again showing that Domina also believes that Jim was lying about his engagement. More examples. I believe he started to judge her ever since Laura was talking to him about her glass unicorn. A good quote I found from a Packet article by Ellen Domina stated just how Laura viewed the Glass Menageries. She personifies the animals, creating lives for them that reflect her own. I found that quote very helpful because I do agree with Domina about the use of Laura's menageries in the story. She was describing the unicorn as a person by saying him. Laura was talking to Jim about them like it was her babies. In the book, Laura was talking to Jim about her glass unicorn, where she says, "There now, you're holding him gently. Hold him over the light. He loves the light. You see the light shines through him?" She was describing the unicorn as a person by saying him, again showing her difficulties on facing real life. Laura's strength. Laura's true strength started to show when Laura decided on not going to school because it showed that she can decide on her own and take care of herself. Instead of going to school, she went and did things she wanted to do, showing that she has a mind of her own. Second, Jim told Laura he was engaged. When Jim told Laura he was engaged, she took it very well and acted like it did not disappoint her, showing her true strength. Third, the glass unicorn broke. The glass unicorn fell when Laura and Jim were dancing. When it did fall, she took it very well. Lastly was Laura's experience with Jim. The experience Laura had with Jim is what changed her because once the unicorn fell, Laura gave him the broken unicorn by telling him that he can have it because she will not be needing it anymore, showing that she does not need him in order to be taken care of, and that she will finally move on and deal with real life. All of these things are what got me to see her true strength. Everybody doubted her and thought Laura could not take care of herself. Broken Unicorn. Broken Unicorn was the most important example on how she transformed into a strong woman. The broken unicorn represents that Laura was once broken, and now she is normal and is ready to face on whatever life decides to bring her. Once she was kissed by Jim, she felt normal, and like the unicorn who now looks like a horse, can fit with the normal horses. Laura has finally moved on from the past and is ready for the future. Laura and Jim. Laura's experience with Jim is what changed her into the woman she was becoming. Laura and Jim's conversations are what helped her become a strong woman and build her confidence. By Laura giving Jim the broken unicorn led me to think that she was finally moving on and has enough confidence to find a better husband and have a better life. Jim's presence is what changed her idea of life. Jim's presence wasn't just negative because of his lies. It was also positive because it's what made Laura finally come back to real life. These are just pictures of what I found to be the most important symbols throughout the story. For example, the broken unicorn on your left, and then on your right, the blue roses. It's just like a little scene of a play, and you can see all the blue roses around, I'm guessing, Laura while she's playing with her glass menageries. Conclusion. In the end of the story is where it showed Laura's true potential. Laura has always been my favorite character because of her unique ways and view of life. All of the examples I provided are what got me to conclude on Laura not being doomed. Everybody has a different view of Laura, but I truly do believe she is strong and also would have had a great and happy future with a family of her own. This is my works cited page. This is all the links I used to support my prompt. Again, my name is Adriana Reyes. I hope you liked my PowerPoint and also understood my view of Laura being a strong woman, not labeled as being doomed.